Hello, my name is Leah Heilpan, and today I'm joined with John Doyle, the Managing Director of the payments business. He has over 40 years of experience in the payments world. John has worked with leading banks in Asia Pacific, Northern America, Europe, and the Middle East to develop and improve local ACH solutions. John, great to have you. How are you doing today?
Good, good. Yeah, absolutely good.
That's great. Now we have a lot to discuss, so I'm very excited to jump straight in. Tell us, what are the main drivers in the next 3 years for payments?
Well, I think the overall main driver is going to be digitalization. That's the big thing that everybody is going to be concentrating on. And the pandemic has only highlighted the fact that digital solutions are very important. So we'll be moving to a situation where the banks' legacy systems will become the repositories of money, but to be able to report on that money and move that money around, that'll largely be done by fintechs using digital type techniques. So that's the big thing. The second big thing is really is the fact that a lot of this is being consumer led. People don't realize the impact that PSD2 had on the industry. PSD2 really opened up the whole issue of who data belongs to, which is very important. And there was an overwhelming decision within Europe, led a lot by the Bank of England, to say that data actually belongs to the consumer. So your data, my data, belongs to us. And so we want to be able to see that data. We want to be able to use that data. And so there's been a growth of fintechs in the last few months where they're looking at ways of presenting us with that data. And we're already starting to see it in what's going on with open banking, and open banking now becoming open finance. And then there'll just be open, really. Open will be the final end part of it, when we just open up all data to fintech so that they can report on it. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is that the consumer wants information. We're in an age where we have a lot of younger generations of people coming through who are not used to legacy systems. They're not used to going down the road to the bank and putting their money into a bank and things like that. They want to do everything online using their smartphones and PCs. And so for these people, we've got to provide solutions that meet their lifestyle. So somebody wants to go and buy from Amazon a book or a CD or something. They want to be able to do it immediately, and they want to be able to do it the most cheap and the most effective way possible. And that's all led by digitalization in the industry. And that's a very, very good thing over the next few years. So digitalization, open banking, then you've got the regulations, which is great because it's quite clear now that the FCA, the Bank of England, and other regulators in the marketplace, assisted by a lot of the trade bodies like Finance UK, Vendicom, the Emerging Payments Association, are really pushing the agenda that we really answer what the consumer wants, and we are becoming much more consumer centric than we used to be, which is very, very important. And that sort of thing is going to be vital in the next few years. So regulations is very important in that area because the regulations set the standards. They set the rules of the game which we can play in. And it's quite interesting. I was on an open banking excellence webinar recently where they did a little roundup of what's happening around the world in terms of open banking. And it's quite clear that in some countries, especially in Africa, where they're not relying on regulation, but they're relying more on standardization, so producing standards, they're not as successful at being able to produce very good, innovative solutions. You need the regulator to sort of say, this is the playing field, this is the rules, and this is how we're going to operate, so that people can then work within that and they know exactly what they're able to do and what they're not able to do.
So, with all of this in mind, moving towards this digital world, as you say, tell us why you actually decided to start the payments business.
Well, first of all, let me just explain that it's a very important question, and I wanted to make sure my Wi-Fi was working perfectly to be able to answer it. So I've moved, so the background has changed.
Still looks great.
But good, good. Um, okay, in the industry today, there's an awful lot of going on in the payments industry. There's lots of regulation changes, there's lots of new innovations, new products and services, lots of new companies started up, lots of activity in the fintech space. The banks, their legacy systems are under change. And the information about all of this, and mainly the regulatory changes, is all held in different silos around the industry, because people tend to concentrate on one aspect of the industry, like fintechs or open banking or digitalization, or you've got the regulators that they'll concentrate on the backs and faster pace. So what we tried to do with the help of Mike Chambers from BACS, who was the former MD of BACS, and Elliot Halpern, was to try and consolidate that information, which is available in the public domain, but to consolidate that information into one place to make it easier for people who are in the payments industry to access that information, and also to be able to debate the issues that are of concern. So that was the real reason behind it. So we're an organization that are here to help the industry get its messages, and there are many, many messages, but it's to help the industry get their messages across to their audiences, the wider community, as well as the consumer community, which, as I said before, is very, very important.
And you talk about getting that message across. So, what would you say some of the biggest challenges are for businesses right now?
Well, the biggest challenge at the moment for businesses is making sure that they understand the regulations and that they understand what they have to do. I mean, two recent things. One is the secure SCA, Secure Customer Authentication, was a disaster, because it's a huge innovative program which will require every point of sale terminal in the country to be changed. Yet the industry hasn't reacted to it. The industry hasn't followed what the regulators have said you have to do. And so the information hasn't got out there. So we've not made much progress in that area. And that's a bit of a problem for everybody. It's a problem for the regulators because we're not following the regulators. And it's a problem for the industry because we're not standardizing and improving security in those particular areas, so that we protect the consumer. And at the end of the day, protecting the consumer is number one on the list of things that we have to do. So a lot of those changes and innovations are happening right now, and those things need to be put out. And these are challenges to all sorts of players in the industry. It doesn't matter if you're a bank, or you're a payments processor, or you're a fintech. It doesn't matter what you are. You need to know what's going on, and that's very, very important at the moment. Information is key at the moment because there's a lot happening in the industry.
Yeah, there is a lot happening. And like you said, things are moving very quickly right now. So, who would you say are the key players in payments in the next coming few years?
Well, it's interesting actually that the FCA for a long time was not seen as being very active in this market in terms of, they used to bring out regulations, but they didn't really engage with the community in making sure those regulations were enforced. they've changed their attitude and they've changed their approach, which is a really good thing. And so what they're doing is making sure that people understand exactly what the changes are, why they are there, what the benefits are. There's lots of consultation going on, and innovation is coming out of that. So the key players are really led by the FCA, but you've got some very, very good people in the marketplace. As I mentioned before, the the Emerging Payments Association, EPA. You've got UK Finance. You've got Clearbank, who is a clear banking example of a fintech coming into the market and being able to disintermediate in a good way in the clearing business. So that's a very good example. So there's some very, very key players coming into the marketplace, as well as people like Bottomline, Kiriba, the Open Banking Excellence team, Open Banking Expo team. The list is endless, but there are some very, very key players who are coming into the industry and in order to try and regulate it and to make it more manageable. And what I said before is very true in this space too, which is that everybody is recognizing that the consumer is king. The consumer has to have their needs answered and delivered upon. And so we're seeing some really good innovation in the consumer space, which is really good news.
But with everything that's going on right now, we've heard about the Wirecard scandal. I want to know your thoughts. Would you say that the payments ecosystem is in good hands right now?
Yeah, no, I think the payment system is in very, very good hands. The trouble is, it's in too many hands. So there's lots of different players in the industry, all concerned with one particular aspect of it. What we need is a bit more consolidation in terms of the views and things like that. But for example, I was at an Open Banking Excellence conference recently, where we did a roundup of what's happening around the world, as I've mentioned, and it was clear that from what people were saying from around the world who were involved in the local regulations in their countries, that they're very much looking to the UK as being a thought leader and a driver in many of these innovations. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing for the industry, and it's a good thing for Britain, that we're still seen as a major player in the financial services sector. Very, very good player.
So just finally then, we have to ask you, what is the future then for the payments business?
Oh, well, I think we'll just grow and grow. We will add more members to the forum. We will increase the debate. We'll increase the visibility of our members and our partners in the payments business, so that we'll be able to make sure that the debate is taking place and that the debate is being acted upon by the people who need to act upon it in the industry. So I think it's exciting times, actually. One of the great things about payments at the moment is payments used to be very boring. Payments was just boring. Now it's very sexy.
Yeah.
And it's a great thing to be in. So I think we're in a great shape, and the future is really exciting. Lots of good fun to have.
I couldn't agree with you more. John, thank you so much. Absolute pleasure having you on the line with us today.
Thank you very much, Claire. It was very, very nice talking to you.